Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And today, we're talking about blockchains because they can get you infected. This is actually kind of interesting, and this is not going to be a primer on blockchains. Odds are, if you're listening to this, you at least know what it is outside of cryptocurrency or inside of cryptocurrency. But you gotta love innovation here, especially from the jerks of the world. So Dan Gooden of ours had a really good write-up on this. And what essentially they found were hacking groups, at least one of which is working for the North Koreans. They basically found a new and inexpensive way to distribute malware through bulletproof hosts. Essentially, what they're doing is they're now stashing malware on public cryptocurrency blockchains. That's right, the blockchains that you might be using, seeing, or even hearing about in the news are getting infected. So, basically, in a post yesterday, members of the Google Threat Intelligence Group said that this technique provides the hackers with essentially their own bulletproof host. Now, if you don't know what that is, a bulletproof host in cybersecurity parlance is basically just a cloud platform that is mostly immune from takedowns by law enforcement. Basically, they don't really succumb to pressure from security researchers and all of that. They don't log things. So they're great. Oftentimes they're sitting in countries where it is very hard to get to them. So it's not really, sitting here in the United States or other nations that would have laws and law enforcement that would be big enough or capable enough to go after them. So think about some random country in Africa or the Seychelles or somewhere where nobody's going to touch them. So that's what we're talking about, Curacao, etc. So these services oftentimes charge a lot of money, but they cater to criminals that are spreading malware. We also see things like child sexual abuse material go through bulletproof hosts and all of that, dark web, blah, 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 right? So this is essentially what we're talking about. But since February, the researchers at Google have observed two groups basically using newer techniques to infect targets with credential stealers and other forms of malware. So here's essentially the nuts and bolts of this. This method, for the record, they're calling ether hiding. It's embedding malware in smart contracts, which are essentially apps that reside on blockchains for Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. So two or more parties enter into agreement spelled out in the contract, and when certain conditions are met, the app enforces the contract terms in a way that, at least theoretically, makes it immutable and therefore independent from any central authority. So, Google researchers Blas Kojusner, I'm very sorry, Robert Wallace, and Joseph Dobson wrote, and I quote, "In essence, ether hiding represents a shift towards next-generation bulletproof hosting where the inherent features for blockchain technology are repurposed for malicious ends. This technique underscores the continuous evolution of cyber threats as attackers adapt and leverage new technologies to their advantage." End quote. So there's a huge amount of advantages to ether hiding over more traditional platforms that deliver malware. And so aside from the bulletproof hosting, think about it this way. The decentralization of a blockchain prevents takedowns of malicious smart contracts because the mechanisms in the actual blockchain itself bar the removal of these contracts. Now, on top of that, the immutability of the contract prevents the removal or tampering basically with the malware by anybody. So transactions on Ethereum and several other blockchains are effectively anonymous, so it also protects the malicious attackers' identities. And retrieval of malware from the contracts leaves no trace of the access in event logs, so they've got stealth on top of it, and the attackers can also update malicious payloads at any time. This is an ideal platform and scenario. The anonymity that a Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, take your pick, that the blockchain offers can oftentimes be used for malicious intent. Now, we've seen, obviously, the ransomware gangs of the world using, blockchain technology to obfuscate, their currencies and all of that. But delivering malware payloads is definitely a new one. So, and for the record, creating and modifying smart contracts is usually less than $2 per transaction. So that is an enormous amount of savings, and labor compared to traditional methods for delivering malware. So on one hand, we've got artificial intelligence taking over ransomware campaigns. Thank you, PromptLock. On another way, we see attackers leveraging the near anonymity and immutability of what a blockchain is to infect people and they've got us coming and going. So heads up to you. If you are basically dealing with smart contracts or other entities, on whatever blockchain it is, it's really hard, especially if you don't know the people, to know if they're working for North Korea or if it really is a legit contract. This actually has wider implications for the entire blockchain community that looks at blockchain technology as a way to essentially ensure that, contracts are enforced and they're immutable as well. So here we go. New techniques. Gotta love it, but that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter, Nick AESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, 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 don't stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.